Today, we get into the spirit of Freedom Day with Dr. Iqbal Survé, chairman of Sekunjalu Group, as he shares his thoughts on South Africa's journey and the way forward. Join us for an enlightening conversation.
Freedom Day is here. Today is the 29th year of the freedom for all of us in South Africa. How do we view freedom 29 years later, as we approached almost 3 decades of our freedom? What has freedom meant for us? Look at freedom as a gift. It was a gift that was given to us by those that had sacrificed their lives, that sacrificed their families, and had sacrificed so that we today are able to be free. And it's a gift in the box called freedom. And that box of freedom has to be nurtured and looked after forever. Because if we don't appreciate that gift of freedom, if we squander the gift of freedom, then we no longer have any freedom. So freedom, every South African should wake up on the morning of Freedom Day, the 27th of April, and we should say to ourselves, we are free today because of the sacrifices of those that have come before us. It was Nelson Mandela who said, no matter how much you are chained, you need to break away not the physical chains only, that you're chained to a prison cell, you're chained to a wall. You should break away the mental change. The most important freedom is the freedom to think and the right to think. The apartheid system took away that cruelly because people that fought for freedoms based on social justice, on the rights of people, that freedom was taken away from them. The most important freedom is the freedom to think and the right to think. The apartheid system took away that cruelly because people that fought for freedoms based on social justice, on the rights of people, that freedom was taken away from them. There are also such things as positive freedoms and negative freedoms. So positive freedoms, for example, is the importance of being free from poverty, which is negative. And so unless our people are free from poverty, there cannot be any freedom. Unless our people are able to have dignity, which is a positive aspect of freedom, there cannot be freedom. Unless our people are free to have good housing, good sanitation, education, and security for themselves and their families, there cannot be freedom. Freedom is only real if everybody can exercise not just the right to think, the right to vote, but the right to have the freedoms that comes with equality, social justice, transformation, and empowerment. The most important freedom that we have is the freedom to choose our leaders and the freedom to choose those that are going to take our country forward and are going to give to our country and its people their rightful place in the sun, for that is indeed what freedom really means. Economic freedom, does it exist in our country? Only a dishonest person will tell you that we have economic freedom, because the country's economy, if one looks, for example, at capital in terms of the JSE, the stock market, is still predominantly untransformed. Black people own less than 5% of the JSE. Some people say it is as low as 1.5%, depending upon the parameters that you use. If you look at institutions of capital, they remain controlled, managed, and owned largely by the establishment that existed during the apartheid years. Are black people in this country being given the opportunities through capital allocation, through business opportunities, through partnerships? Absolutely not. So is there economic freedom in our country? The answer is no. Any person that looks at the statistics of our country will show very clearly that our country has not transformed economically. South Africans must understand the freedom of the mind and the freedom to express themselves and the freedom to demand a peaceful, just, social just society is absolutely their right. And I would say to all South Africans, do not allow others to determine the kind of freedom, the kind of gift that you have received. Determine it for yourselves, because together we can make South Africa a great country. Together we can provide for our people, provided that we take our freedom as seriously as those who gifted us our freedom. We see that box of freedom in front of us, draped in the beautiful colors of the South African flag. And as we enter and approach that box, what do we want from the box of freedom? Do we want hope? Do we want justice? Do we want equality? Do we have leaders that we can trust? Do we want a South Africa that lives in peace and harmony within itself? Do we want freedom from crime, freedom from unemployment, freedom from poverty? Do we want our children to be educated? As you approach the box of freedom, I'll leave it for you to decide what you want from the gift of freedom, from the box of freedom.